Well, good afternoon, everyone. I think we're about to start. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start to be able to talk into this microphone. Can you hear me well? Yeah? Fantastic. Well, we're going to talk about many things today. So since we're a really big crew, feel free to interrupt and make as many questions as you can. Most importantly, what we're going to talk about right now, I believe, is about the future of education. And we're going to talk about AI, blockchain, and learning analytics. So we will be talking all about the buzzwords that are on trend right now. We're a company that are helping more than 800 institutions in 19 different countries into being able to issue these digital verifiable credentials. But before we start about that, let me start with a why, as Simon Sinek might probably say. So, as we all know, AI is having like a pretty huge impact into everything, and most importantly into education. There's very prominent different companies. Who doesn't know Duolingo, right? I hope nobody raises their hand. So the CEO of Duolingo actually said that for the first time ever, teaching, I will maybe bring this forward. For the first time ever, teaching as well as the best human tutors is within our reach, okay? And also it's saying that AI is already changing how work gets done. It's not a question of if or when, it's happening now. Okay, so I'll assume that we're aligned with this. And that we'd rather move with urgency and take occasional small hits on quality than move slowly and miss the moment. Okay? There's another really big company called Fiverr. Did you all know Fiverr? No? Okay, it's kind of like a very big freelance website where you can actually be able to start working with in many different things. These are directly emails that are being sent from the CEOs itself. And I don't want to scare you, but what this CEO says is that AI is coming for your jobs. Heck, it's coming for my job too. This is a wake-up call, okay? And this is a wake-up call. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm not sure if, yeah? Okay, fantastic. And a really interesting quote that he indicated is, if you're working like it's 2024, you're doing it wrong, because we're already in 2025. Something that is also pretty much interesting is that AI is also disrupting, in a sense, to be able to grasp what is real and what it isn't. It's very, very easy nowadays to be able to fake anything. Of course, before you could just use, I don't know, Paint and be able to fake any kind of diploma, any kind of certificate. Now you can literally ask AI to build whatever fake diploma that you would like. But most importantly, Gartner indicated that 1 in 4 job candidates by 2028 will be completely fake. It will actually not be a human being applying to the job. Okay? So imagine the level on how this also impacts into understanding the level that people are actually lying into their resumes or lying into their LinkedIn profiles. Why? Because it's very easy and there's no like a LinkedIn police in order to control if you're telling the truth or not. So this it's not only unfair for the people that actually did study, but it's also quite complicated into protecting the brand reputation of each university. But of course, how can you be able to tackle it? We strongly believe we're not the only ones, that blockchain is kind of the counterweight for what is happening with AI. We need to know what is real and what it isn't. We need to be able to understand what is actually the thing that is actually true and what is not. How many people here have heard about fake news? All of them, okay? Well, fantastic. You cannot imagine how many fake diplomas, how many fake credentials. That's like, you won't believe it. Why? Fake news, we all know it because we all were in touch with it. We all are part of social media and so on. But since it's so easy, it's very, very easy to fake a diploma. So, what is the solution? You can use the blockchain. How many people know about the blockchain? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 hands. I can do like a very small definition of how the blockchain works. So, how many of you use Instagram or Facebook or any kind of social network? Social media, yeah, many yeses. Okay, don't be shy. We're a small crew. We can raise our hands. We can also dance. Okay, so Facebook, Instagram, and so on are mainly a centralized system. Okay, so what does centralization mean? They are the ones that are in control of the database. They are the ones that hold the information of the users. Okay, so you can imagine, for example, if Facebook or Instagram goes out of business, they do not have, let's say, any incentives into maintaining those videos and photos through time, right? So they will stop paying for those servers, they will stop paying for that, and the photos and videos will not be longer available. So what I mean to this is, usually everything is all like, it's a centralized entity that is controlling the data. The blockchain is a countermeasure for that, which is, you can say that it's a interconnected servers or an interconnected database, which is public, by the way, okay? And the most important part is that it's self-sustained. So, for example, Bitcoin right now, all of us have heard about Bitcoin. It has right now a 1.7 trillion market cap, okay? So you can truly understand that there's many incentives aligned into maintaining that for the future, for the entire humanity. So the good part of the blockchain is, once that you store something on the blockchain, it's like writing on stone. It cannot be changed, it cannot be tampered, it cannot be modified, and there's no single entity that controls that information, okay? So it's like, I have this on a second slide, but it's like, we all know where the Mona Lisa is. We all know that there might be certain replicas or certain duplicates in many other different places in the world, but if you want to know where the Mona Lisa is, okay, I can go to the Louvre and I know that it's there. So using the blockchain technology for credentials, for certificates, for diplomas, for any type of recognition, is like having it on the Louvre or having it on a public place that everyone can know where to check the true version of it, okay? So there's many ways to use the blockchain. We do it as a non-fungible token, okay? What's a non-fungible token? It's the ability that the blockchain community created into being able to actually store an image on this public decentralized database. Any questions? Because I'm getting a bit technical, okay? Let's go directly to the benefits. So why issue a digital credential as a non-fungible token on the blockchain? Because the student will be able to get or to access their credential no matter what happens in the future. That image is recorded in a permanent way, okay? And when I mean no matter what happens in the future, is even if the institution where they have studied disappear, that might happen. Sorry to tell you about that. But, or even if we are not longer in existence. This is, once again, like writing on stone. So why do learners actually get their certificates? Because they need to be able to showcase their skills, okay? They need to actually prove to any third party that is interested to actually be able to understand which is the knowledge, which are the skill sets, which are the abilities that they have, okay? So this is how to do it effectively, permanently, in a verifiable, secure way, okay? But what's next? Let's continue talking about AI because we're on this area. So AI is changing how teachers teach, how learners learn, but it's also very clear that we need to learn very, very fast. There's the World Economic Forum report, the Future of Jobs report from 2025, that it indicates that 4 out of 10 skills right now will be completely transformed or outdated in the next 5 years. Let this sink in. So it's safe to say that almost half of what we know right now will be completely useless in the next 5 years. So what that means, that skills are changing even faster than we can learn them. So actually education needs to be able to adapt to this change really thoroughly. We need to be able to evolve into understanding which are the skill sets that are needed into this specific community at this specific moment in time. So actually once again, this is the World Economic Forum report, okay? So 60% or 59 out of 100 workers will need training by 2030, which makes absolute sense. If we were talking that 40% of the skills will be completely useless in the next 5 years, it makes sense that we need a lot of retraining. So this is a tremendous opportunity. This is the best moment to be in education, I think. Why? Because it's clear that we need to be constantly reskilling, upskilling. Lifelong learning is going to be permanently part of our worlds. So the universities, institutions that are able to identify which are the skills that are actually needed, that actually add value, are the ones that are going to thrive. Because it's clear that we need to be constantly relearning and upskilling and retraining and reskilling ourselves, especially if these are the trends of the evolution of the new skills that are happening. And in this same report, it says that 6 out of 10 companies identify the skills gaps as their biggest barrier to business transformation. Okay, so this is also being told by the employers that are actually saying, hey, I really need to move faster related to the skills. So it's clear that courses need to align to the evolving industry needs. But how can we do that? We need to be able to actually have very good feedback loops into understanding how can we actually be able to teach what is actually needed. Any questions till now? Am I going fast? Does the microphone sound good? If when I'm here, it feels like so stronger. I'm gonna try to be up here. Okay, so let's talk about the student success cycle. You probably know this by heart. So you have new students, okay? Ideally, these new students, you want them to have high completion rates, okay? If you have high completion rates and they are studying something that has high impact, that are skills that are needed into the community, they will probably be driving employability. And if they drive employability, then it's clear that if they had a really good moment in your institution, they will become back again to be new students, because once again, we need to be constantly upskilling and reskilling, okay? So how can digital verifiable credentials help into optimizing this student success cycle, okay? We will check about that. How many of you heard about micro-credentials? Okay, probably that's why we're here. Okay, fantastic. So micro-credentials have proven to increase enormously completion rates, okay? What are micro-credentials? What are learning pathways? Learning pathways are a way to be able to really map what are the students going to be studying, okay? And the micro-credentials are a way to actually issue recognitions, issue certificates as the student is actually acquiring those skills. Let me give you an example. I studied engineering, okay? Fantastic 5-year degree course, really long. I just got a beautiful piece of paper, but 5 years afterwards. I had many friends that studied, for personal reasons, needed to abandon their studies at the 3rd year of studying engineering. Someone that studied 3 years of engineering, someone that knows about quantum physics, for example, but they didn't receive any credential. They have the same value in the job market as someone that didn't study anything. So micro-credentials is not only a way to make it more fair to the people that actually are acquiring those skills, but it's also a way, it's fantastic, to increase the completion rates, okay? Why? Because it's like short-term recognition. It's already proven that we need to be able to have a long engagement. So if I actually were able to approve an assessment, I actually had acquired a specific skill, and you're able to recognize that by giving a badge, by getting something that they can actually demonstrate to other employers. That is a way that the learning experience, it's a bit more, you're feeling it as you're learning it. There are many case studies I can share with you that it's already proven that giving this short-term recognition increases the level of engagement, okay? Why? Because as humans, if you play a game, you want to continuously be leveling up, and you need to actually be feeling that you're leveling up, not that it's something like unapproachable or really far away in eternity when you're about to graduate. So our platform lets you do that. Of course, you can create as many unlimited learning pathways as you want. But most importantly, you can also track that information. You can understand where each of the students is within that learning journey, okay? And that is very important, because this is when we are getting learning analytics into the equation. How can you improve? How can you know what you need to be able to get better if you cannot measure it? If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So in this way, you're able to track where each of the students are within the learning journey. So if you detect, for example, that everyone is getting stranded, I don't know, in month 2 of the learning experience, maybe this is something that we should do about it. And maybe there's an action base that you could do. So this is great. We already saw how we can improve the completion rates. Let me check on time. Oh, we're fantastic. I'm going to be in stock like slower. Okay, so how can digital credentials also help us attract new students? As we know, enrollment is kind of a really big pain point at this moment for universities. So whenever someone receives a digital credential, this digital credential, you can send it directly through your own email domain, okay? Which is very important, because as personalized the communication is, the better, because the students are expecting to receive the certificate, their diploma, directly from the institution where they have been studying, not from another company. Why I'm telling you this? Because we're actually one of the few companies that let you do this. So you are talking all the time to the student with your communication, with your look and feel, with the way that you'd like to address the student directly, okay? And, well, this is an example of how a email could look like. But most importantly, as students receive these digital credentials, there's probably two things that happens when someone graduates. They receive their certificate and they call their mom and celebrate. And then they do the exactly same thing on LinkedIn. Okay, so how can we help that to actually be like naturally? If you're giving them a digital credential, it's really easy to share it on social networks. We actually, with one click of a button, you can add it directly to your license and certificate section in LinkedIn. And why is that fantastic? Because you can also personalize how that certificate looks like. Okay, so the certificate can have your brand identity, okay? But not only the certificate, the display page where that certificate is being seen can be completely personalized, okay? So whenever a student shares their credential online, they are actually creating for you the best organic marketing campaign that can exist in the world. You have a proud student sharing with their community the achievement that they are actually celebrating. So it's way better than doing, for example, a paid marketing campaign. My eyes are already trained. When I see something that is promoted on LinkedIn, it's like I just skip it. I'm not that paying. I'm already trained not to. Who doesn't, right? But if you're actually seeing a good friend of yours saying, hey, I just graduated from this university, I just received my MBA, you probably will be engaging with all the community, okay? And the community probably has the same demographics as the student. So imagine if you, below that graduation certificate, you can place a dynamic ad that says, hey, do you want to study the same thing? Click here and learn more, okay? So that is a very powerful marketing campaign. This is actually an example from Columbia University that is already using as a branch of the EdTech branch, and this is from their EdTechpreneurs cohort. So actually you can see that they display a dynamic ad that says, a fellowship for entrepreneurs, reinventing education and employment. Join us. And you can click on it, and you can then be able to leave your contact details and then be part of the next cohort. So for example, let's say you have, I don't know, a class of 100 graduates. Let's be super conservative. I don't know, for example, let me put you another example. We were just chosen to be the issuing platform of the ASU GSP at the US. It's one of the biggest events in EdTech in the United States and probably in the world. And there are 7,000 attendees, okay? Those 7,000 attendees, we can say that at least being super conservative, they have 1,000 followers each on LinkedIn. That is really conservative to say. So if all of them are sharing that into LinkedIn, that's a 7 million marketing campaign reach. It's incredible, and you can actually be getting directly leads because our platform also allows you to measure everything. You don't need to trust me. Actually, please don't trust anyone. You should be able to measure everything, the impact. Okay, so when I'm saying that this can be a really good marketing tool, you can actually measure that impact by yourself. You can understand how many people click on the certificates, how many people verified those certificates, how many people download the certificates, how many people left their contact details. And we also have what it's called lead ads, okay? So the interested third party can literally click on an ad that says, register here or leave my contact details, name, surname, email, and then you can send them I don't know, you can contact them with the approach that you need in order to be able to reach to them. Okay, and a really important question. How can we know as an institution if you're actually having any impact? How many here understand what are happening with the graduates after they finalize their studies? How do you do that? Are you doing surveys? Yes. Do you have very high response rates of that surveys? What's the numbers? Don't be shy. 40%. So that's a celebration act. Sorry to tell you. You should be here and telling us how to do the best service in the world. No, this is... You're insistent. The persistent, the resilience. Fantastic. Yeah. But we know that usually people are not as keen to answer surveys. And sometimes the people that are answering the surveys are the ones that maybe we really want the others, the ones that are not answering. So imagine How would be the best way to know about that? Imagine if you were able to understand from each of the graduates, be able to enter into their LinkedIn profiles and understand which are the updates that they're having. You know, if they got a new job, if they got promoted, where was the new job, what is the job title, and so on. So that's when that digital verifiable credentials come in. Let's go on the journey. So the student graduates, okay? You send them a very personalized email saying that they are fantastic and they should be celebrating and they have already finished their studies. Here's your certificate. They click, okay, I accept my certificate. They see them and then they share it on LinkedIn. Once they are sharing it on LinkedIn, they are making it public, okay? They decided by their own means to publish that on LinkedIn. So then we are able to connect that sharing rate, that certificate, to a specific LinkedIn profile, okay? And then we're actually to collect that information in a massive way, like one by one, okay? So by doing these digital verifiable credentials, then you're able to track what is happening to the students directly by just checking the information that is available on LinkedIn, of course, in an automatic way, okay? So this will give you the information from an holistic viewpoint, but also at a granular level. So you will be able to understand which are the cohorts that are actually driving employability, that are actually creating economic mobility, and which are the students, like where are the students getting employed. You can filter this information by date, by cohort, by any kind of thing, but most importantly, I believe that this is a way to actually close the feedback loop, okay? As we've seen before in the previous slides, 40% of whatever we know right now will be completely useless in the next 5 years. So that means we need to be constantly updating our curriculum, updating what we're learning, okay? So the thing is, how do we know if we're actually teaching something that is valuable? So this is a way to actually measure that impact. You have graduates, you understand if they are getting employed, and then you can get that feedback and maybe get better which are the courses and allocate the resources where they are needed. And maybe there are other courses that are actually not driving economic mobility. Maybe it's time to, I don't know, shut them down and maybe do other things. So with this information, we will be able to have all this information at hand in a very clear dashboard. And I would love this to happen when I was a student. Imagine also leveraging this information and give it to the student as well. As a student, when you're about to make a decision into where are you going to study, you don't have much information. You're not making an informed decision into the future, okay? Imagine being able to use this information to market it and to tell the students, hey, if you study this program, 80% of the people that studied this program got employed in 6 months. That is very important as a student because, hey, maybe if I'm between studying AI, cybersecurity, front-end accounting, doing an MBA or whatsoever, I can understand what will be the impact into my career. And that can help me make a better informed decision. So now it's the time for questions. I think we nailed it on the time. If you're interested in learning more, you can scan that QR code and we will happily be able to send you more information. But now this is the moment for questions. Do you have any questions? Did you understand the blockchain part, the NFT parts? We can get really into detail about that. Questions? Was that clear? Really? Okay. Are you doing digital credentials? How are you handling the issuance? Let me have another angle, because doing it also on paper, for example, which is the traditional way, of course it's kind of, let's say, the efficiency on that it's complicated. You need to print it, you need to hand it out, you need the logistics. Of course, doing it digital is more sustainable as well. It's a way to do it more in a more efficient, a more, let's say, massive way. And doing it can be very easy. This is just like drag and dropping an Excel file with information of each of the students, and then it goes. I can tell you much more things, but I'm waiting for the questions. Okay, let me tell you some more things that are important into the digital credentialing space. Okay, so there's a very big term that is called interoperability. Okay, fancy word. What that means? The interoperability is whenever you're creating a certificate, it's very important not only to say, hey, I don't know, Thomas just finished his MBA. That's it. No. It's better if you can add the description into what that certificate actually means. The skill sets that they got, the earning criteria, maybe the curriculum. As much information as you can upload into a certificate, you're actually empowering the learner for the future to be able to showcase their skills effectively to any third party that is interested in actually understanding what does finishing this course actually means, okay? It's not the same saying that I did a leadership course, period, than saying I studied leadership for 12 months, 10 years a week, this is my assessment, this is my earning criteria, this is my description, this is a curriculum, and so on. Why I'm saying this? Because AI is not only changing how education works, it's also, as we are all, please tell me that we are all using AI in some way. So of course students are using AI to be able to apply to jobs, okay? So everyone is actually using AI to apply to jobs. So what is happening on the other side? The employers are receiving thousands of applications, okay? Can you imagine how to navigate thousands of applications? It's a bit complicated. If you can dedicate like 10 seconds each curriculum, it will take you like eternity. So employers are also using AI in order to understand, to pinpoint which are the candidates that make sense to actually have an interview, okay? So what's the thing? If the AI can then identify that the candidate is actually telling the truth because they have a digital verifiable credential, they're being able to stand out on the job market. So this is like layers, okay? Let's say that you have 1,000 applicants, okay? From those thousands applicants, there's 200 that have digital credentials. Okay, they are like they stand out to the next level. From those 200 credentials, how much of them are enriched, okay? How many of them have the description? How many of them have more context in order to be able to analyze and understand if this human being is actually up for the task, okay? So AI is being used in both ways. It's not that only the applicants are using it in order to apply for the job. The employers are also using it. So let me come back to the other term, which is interoperability. What does that mean? If you're uploading so much information into a credential, that needs to be structured in a particular way, okay? Why? So that then an AI or any other platform can understand what that information is about, okay? So there are different standards that are applied around the world. We comply with the European learning model that is here. There's also a really big one in the US, which is the Open Batch 3.0. We're actually board members of the Trusted Credential Framework. We're really nerdy into these frameworks because, to be honest, I'm absolutely convinced that this is the infrastructure of the future of education. There are like 3 main pillars into the education right now. At least for me, I might be wrong, but it is AI for generating the content, for even having the best tutor that you can have in your life. Then you have learning analytics. That is a way to actually be able to understand if you're actually having an impact and being able to retroactively be changing maybe the skills or maybe the courses. And then you need the blockchain part in order to understand what is real and what it isn't. Like so the triangle. And I see that the blockchain is the counterweight with AI because AI can generate anything and someone needs to actually balance that and actually understand what is the truth and what it isn't. So having said that, the interoperability part is a way to structure the data inside the credential so that anyone can then understand it, okay? But interoperability is not the only important part. It's also important part that the student is able to access their credential forever, okay? That's where the blockchain comes in as well. If you save the certificate as a non-fungible token on the blockchain, you're empowering the student to showcase their skills effectively, permanently, in eternity, okay? And that's actually why I think why we're here. We want the students to actually thrive, to actually be successful, to actually be able to, hey, this is what I learned, here's my certificate, be able to check it out. So yeah, that's what we are doing. One digital verifiable at a time, digital credential verifiable at a time. The idea is to be able to empower the learners to be able to communicate what they know in an effective way. There's like, okay, questions, fantastic, great.
Thank you very much. You did a very compelling expose. My question is, why don't you go a bit farther and give us some examples?
Okay.
some of the analysis that can be made on this. For instance, you you mentioned the 40%, 60% story, which is quite impressive. But which courses? I mean, and this is all changing, evolving, constantly evolving situation, right? So the skills that were very efficient 1 or 2 years ago may not be in the future.
Yeah.
But anyway, if we have information about recent impact,
Yeah.
it would be very good. So I think you have plenty of data that you can analyze.
Yes.
And give us some example.
Yeah.
So for some of the changing trends and what really is useful, because of course universities and educators are very much interested in having that kind of information. And you are right. All schools are very poor at actually collecting that data and tracking their alumni
Yeah.
in an efficient manner. Although, of course, LinkedIn can provide a lot of information. So, do you have some studies that and some examples that you can give us about which recent trends you have spotted?
Yeah. Well, I can share with you because it's the World Economic Forum report of the future of jobs. Thank you for the question, Fred. First, the Future of Jobs report of 2025 is a 300 report that it made a detailed analysis into which they think are the skills that are going to evolve in the future. What for me took me, it's something that I was imagining, right, especially with the rise of AI, but understanding that 40% of the skills are going to be useless in the next 5 years, for me, like blow my mind in the sense that, okay, it's clear that we need to be acquiring new things, and that these new things are even being created not even as fast as we can learn to learn them, or that we can actually identify them. So I don't want to name a couple of skills. I can share you the report, the Future of Jobs report, because the trend analysis is fantastic, to be honest. They did a fantastic work into that. For me, the important part here is how can we collect that information, not relying only into surveys, and really understanding if the courses that we're giving to the students are having the impact that we imagine. That would be the key part as well. And the other part, and that got me thinking into the question, is once a student shares their credential, that information, when they do a post on LinkedIn, you're able to link that. You're able to click on that LinkedIn post and be able to engage with them. So this is also a way to be able to increase the alumni engagement. Let me give you another example of an Argentinian university, ITBA. I don't know if by any chance you know them. That's where I studied, so that's what I'm proud of. They decided, for example, to issue certificates of anniversaries to the alumni. Okay? It was a very smart idea. Why? Because they're giving something to the students that they are actually very proud of. Before that, they were sending emails saying, hey, this is the 10-year celebration. Good for you. Now, when they are receiving a certificate of 10-year anniversary, 15-year anniversary, 20 years anniversary, you see that LinkedIn is flooded with all the people that studied there because, hey, this is a celebration. And that's a great way for them to actually do a marketing campaign, giving something valuable for the student, and also being able to interact with them into their social media posts, because you can also have access to that specific LinkedIn post. So you can then repost it, click on it, comment it, and so on. So this is, for me, digital credentials are a fantastic tool in order to increase completion rates, to understand the feedback loop and understand what is happening to the students after they graduate, and also to be able to empower them for them to be able to showcase their skills effectively, and as a fantastic recruitment tool, as I mentioned before. Please, if you can write me an email into that, I promise you I will share you the World Economic Forum report. You can see a detailed description of the skills trend that I think is going to it's going to fascinate you. I think to tell you which are the trends of that, I think I will not make justice into that fantastic report to tell you here. Thank you. Any other questions? Not much? Okay, well, thank you everyone.